optimistic. She said, but you must be realistic as well. But see, she didn't know that flame was inside of me. She didn't know the belief. And so for that whole week, I kept believing, and that flame kept growing bigger and bigger. It kept getting stronger. And by the end of the week, I had it set in my mind, just like when I flipped that switch. When I flipped that switch that I could step in the ring and beat that bigger kid, the same thing happened. And I flipped that switch, and I was determined and knew in my mind and in my heart that I could make it from that bed to that bathroom using a walker. And I called the nurse and I said, I have to go to the bathroom. And she started to get this bedpan. I said, no ma'am, I'm going to make it to that bathroom using a walker. And she argued with me. I don't know how long she argued. Maybe it seemed like a couple minutes. It was probably 30 seconds or so. But immediately she could tell, or soon she could tell, that I had conviction in my heart. That I believed with every fiber of my being that I could make it to that bathroom. There was nothing that was going to stop me. And so when I went to grab the walker, she relented and she gave me the chance, because I wasn't going to let her not give me the chance. And sometimes you have to make sure that the people who need to give you a chance give you the chance. You have to have that conviction, and when people see that in your eyes and they feel that from your heart, it's like undeniable. It's just truth. And so you have this inside of you, and you have to turn that on. And you have to build that belief. And so when I went to grab that walker, now what began to creep in the back of my mind were the doubts and fears. The doubts and fears that I couldn't make it. The doubts and fears that I might fall and get hurt. The doubts and fears that I could damage my leg even worse than it was. But I just overcame those because my belief was stronger than my doubts and fears. And your belief has to become stronger than your doubts and fears. And so I grabbed that walker, and I went to take my first step, and I almost fell flat on my face because my leg gave out. But I held on to that. And in that process, from that bed to that bathroom, something took over. It was my spirit inside of me. It took over and helped me go from that bed to that bathroom. And it was like a surrender of my own mind, my own ego. It was a spiritual journey. It truly was. As I went from that bed to that bathroom. And when I made it to that bathroom, I knew in my heart, nothing can stop me from making it back to the boxing ring. Nothing. And that little flame, it grew just a little bit bigger. And for the next year I spent unable to walk. I was in this wheelchair. I was in a recliner. I slept in a recliner. And I stayed at my mother's house because now I couldn't work. I had to be at home. Before that, I lived with my trainers and trained full time. And so now I'm in this wheelchair, and I have nothing but time to think and to build this belief. And I kept building it. And a friend of mine came, another coach. He wasn't my coach, but he was a friend I knew in boxing. He and his son came to visit me, and they brought me this metal pipe that I could bend. It was like an exercise pipe. And so I used to bend that pipe all day, and I just felt like, well, I can't use my legs, so what can I do? A lot of times you get in situations where you think, man, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't do this, I can't go there. You're thinking about all the things you can't do, all the things outside of your control. But I ask you, what can you do? Where can you go? How can you make it work? And when you begin to ask yourself that, you get new ideas. You're a problem-solving being. And so when you give yourself the problem, well, how can I? You give yourself the question, how can I? Well, now ideas and light bulbs begin to flash in your mind, and you come up with ways that help you achieve what you want to achieve. And so I asked myself, how can I prepare myself to come back? And so with that pipe, I would bend it every day. I would bend it. And the other thing I would do is I would crawl off of my chair, my recliner or my wheelchair, and I would roll over on the ground. And I would do push-ups. And it hurt my leg just to be moving like that. But I would bear the pain of that because my dream and my belief was stronger than my pain, my fears, my doubts. And so I would build those muscles up top. I was building my upper body, doing push-ups all day long. Every time I get tired, I'd get back on the chair and then I'd just come back. I had all day. I was bored to death. I was in a house by myself, waiting all day for people to come home from work. I'm there all day, so I just did push-ups. I would do push-ups all day. I would bend that pipe as much as I could, and I would visualize myself back in that ring at an elite level, at a world-class level. And that's sometimes all you can do is visualize it. And it's a powerful, powerful process. We create things first in our mind and in our heart. And so I would do that, and this little flame kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger and stronger. And the very first day, a year later, they took the rod out. It was about 10 months later, 11 months later. They took the rod out of my leg and the 2 pins holding it in place, and it re-cracked the inside of the bone. And when they took that rod out, it re-cracked it, and I couldn't walk again for like another month. And so during that month, I'm still visualizing them. I'm still doing my push-ups. I'm still on my mind back in that ring on a world-class level. But the very first day I was released from the hospital to walk again. Now, I hadn't walked in a year, okay? And the very first day I was able to walk, I went to a track, a high school running track, and I gave myself another test. It was just like the test from that bed to that bathroom. And I gave myself the test. And now at the time, you have to understand, my leg had got so skinny, my calf muscle, I could flex the calf muscle, the skin would not even move. It would not even move, my skin, when I tightened my muscle. That's how atrophied that muscle was. And from the knee up, I had the rod in my leg, had a big old knot on my leg of muscle that had just knotted up over time. And it was very painful, and sometimes it would even cramp up more. But yet, I challenged myself to run 5 miles. My very first day, able to walk. And I challenged myself at that track, just me and God. Nobody else there. Nobody at the track. I didn't go and tell people, hey, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. When you do that with something that's very sensitive, something that's very fragile, that belief was still fragile. It was very fragile. The flame could be snuffed out, still, even at that point. But when you start giving your dreams to everybody else, it's like you're looking for approval. You're looking for confirmation from them if they believe it's possible for you. And it doesn't matter if they do or not. What matters is what you really believe in your heart. You got to keep that private and keep it in you and put the work in. And let's talk about it afterwards. Let's celebrate it afterwards. Okay? You don't need to test your belief on someone else. You need to build your belief within yourself. And on that day, at that track, just me and God, and I wanted to test myself. And I said, if I can run 5 miles, nothing will stop me from making it to that level again. Nothing will keep me from becoming a champion again? Nothing. And I went out there and I ran. It was a slow run. It wasn't a fast run. I couldn't run fast. I haven't walked in a year. But I continued to run 20 laps, 5 miles. And when I did, I went to my car, I took out a camera, and I took a picture of the sunset. Because I wanted to remember this day. And I went to the car, and I cried like a baby, because I knew that nothing was going to stop me from achieving my dream. Nothing. And you have to do that for yourself. Find ways to test yourself. Find ways to build your belief. Because see, on that day, that flame grew much bigger. Much bigger. And I continue to build that. I continue to do physical therapy. A lot of people help me. I built a team around me. And you have to do that with your dream. You build a team. But see, I had already made all this progress by myself. Then I began to build my team. And then people already see the progress. It's not me coming to you and I haven't done anything yet. And I'm telling you, yes, I'm going to be this champion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And people don't see anything. See, other people, they have to see it to believe it. For you, it's also a thing of seeing to believe it. But you have